today we are here with Ambassador Maris Selga, an ambassador of Latvia to United States in Washington, D.C. He's currently visiting Lima in Peru for the General Assembly of OAS, Organization of American States, because the Republic of Latvia is a permanent observer of the organization. So in this context, we would like to ask you, Ambassador Selga, the following questions. In the current international context marked by the war between Russia and Ukraine, what are the consequences at the economic level that experience Latvia and other Baltic region states? What do you think they are?
Well, first of all, of course, I would like to thank for the possibility to be in Peru again. It's my second time in this beautiful country. The first time was just as a tourist 16 years ago. And as you already mentioned, Latvia is a permanent observer to Organization of American States, and as you know, being this representative of Latvia to this organization gives me a possibility to participate in this event here, which will take place tomorrow and the day after. I think it's important if we look also from our perspective, from our region, because that gives us as Europeans actually to explain our friends in South America, and because being of course in Washington it's a little bit easier, or in Canada, but also to our friends in South America, actually the situation which has occurred now in Europe because of Russia's aggression towards our neighboring country Ukraine. I mean, political consequences which we all know very well, and I mean which are of course also subject of discussion in the United Nations. But to answer your question regarding economical implications, of course it's we all feel it in Europe. The first is starting from energy prices, and then which is followed of course by inflation, so which is all this conflict and all those problems which occurred with Russia, I mean, added of course to the situation which we had before this pandemic. So we're still trying to get out of COVID pandemic, economic situation which has brought problems to everyone, everywhere. And then plus of course we have this conflict in Ukraine going on, so that it brings us additional problems in Europe, and especially in our region, because we are neighbors to Russia. And starting, as I mentioned, you know, the diversification of gas, for example, gas and oil markets. So our government and our parliament has taken decision from the 1st of January of next year to completely cut off imports of Russian gas and oil. So that means that we have to replace those 90% of gas which we were used to have from Russia with something else. And there this international cooperation of course comes into the picture. So we are working with our partners all over the world, starting of course with our European friends, let's say Norway, with Middle East countries, and of course also with United States, in order to find out new supply chains. So, but yes, to answer your question in short, of course it has brought implications also to Latvia and also to our region in Baltics in general.
Thank you, Ambassador Selga. I would also like to ask you about your last 3 years as an ambassador to United States, being in Washington, D.C. What have been the principal actions or policies or tasks that you have accomplished in order to make the commercial ties stronger between Latvia and United States?
Well, it's very interesting, I mean, to be back in the United States. It's my second posting, not as ambassador, it's the first one, but as a diplomat in the United States. I have been there in 2004 and 2008. I mean, the feeling is that you know everything about United States, not everything, but those things which we are supposed to know. And at the same time, you have to find new ways actually how to cooperate with our colleagues and friends in States. I always say that the task of the embassy in the United States is security, security, and security. Starting, of course, with cooperation in military field and security in general, but also the question, to answer your question, is also security in cooperation in economical field. So that when you have investments from United States, it means that those investors want to be your country safe, and also they want to be sure that somebody is helping us in case something goes wrong. So, of course, being a part of, being a member state of the European Union, of course, NATO as well in our case, it helps, to bring both the soft security and hard security. To be very honest, I have to admit that 1.5 years of COVID was not very helpful in the diplomatic, let's say, world in general, because you have, and I guess that the same goes also to the business world, because you missed the opportunity to meet people, because in order to conclude the deals, it's not enough with Zoom, it's not enough with WebEx, it's not enough with email, you have to meet. And this 2020 and 2020, first half of 2021 actually was not very easy, neither here in Peru, neither in Latvia or Europe or United States. So that we are trying to find the ways actually how we can cooperate with our American friends, and I mentioned the gas problem, the natural gas, liquid natural gas, so that we are looking forward, to work with Americans, because that was our first address where we turned actually to find out the possibility to supply, to change the supply chain in order to replace gas from Russia. And of course, the same as you in Peru, so we are seeking investment from United States, so that it's a different fields, so that we are looking for investments in digital fields. We are of course trying to find out ways actually how to increase our trade. In our case, of course, it's the distance plays a role. So you are almost neighbors, because the continents are very close, and you are much closer. In our case, we have to cross the ocean, and that means that supply chains and of course shortages of containers and everything. So that constant positive struggle and constant positive fight. For investment, I think, but you can say that every country is doing exactly the same.
Okay, so now we come to Peru. I would like to ask you the question about the bilateral relations between Latvia and Peru. How are we doing? And again, especially in trade, are there any news, updates, or in general? Could you please tell us more?
In general, I have to be very honest. I think you have to also make an interview with our honorary consul here in Lima, because he probably will be able to explain in more details regarding bilateral relations between both countries. As you know, I am ambassador to the United States. So, but I think that being a member of European Union has helped us a little bit. To establish more active relations with not only with Peru in this case, but with Latin American countries in general. So that we are quite keen participant, let's say, in different dialogues between European Union and let's say South American countries. If I'm not mistaken, in 2008 our president was here in Peru. So because the European Union and Latin American dialogue took place, so that I think we have even a Latvian park here in Lima, so that it's there are some, let's say, cultural connections already established. I think there is a trade going on, of course, between both countries. So I think it's, let's say, both directions about $10 million per year. We always would be happy to increase it, and I think the potential cooperation could be in the digital field, and of course there are, let's say, different mechanical parts and technical issues so that we can solve among both countries, so that it's And then there is, of course, people-to-people contact, which of course includes exchange of students. I think we have had a quite good cooperation in taking into account the distance between both countries and continents. So that I think that we are doing minus COVID period, doing quite well also in that field. There have been students from Latvia here in Peru, and of course also Peruvian students in Latvia studying different fields, architecture, restaurant business, tourism business, so that I think that is a thing which we can still work and improve, I think, also in future.
Thank you so much. That is really very interesting. I come to the question about the honorary consul precisely. We have noticed that he was recently condecorated with a medal from the government of Latvia for his work. Have you already, do you have a plan on which you will work together now or in the next years? I also understand he is the president of Chamber of Commerce of the Baltic states.
Yeah, I think that it's when you can't open embassies everywhere, even if you wish so. So it's, you know, that it's quite a politically it's very good statement, but we know very well that it's not costly possible always. So of course we would like to have also embassy of Peru in Latvia. So we can wish and we can invite you to open representation in Latvia. I think that in our case the honorary consuls are that's our instrument which we are using around the world. And South America, there are no embassies, actually bilateral embassies in South America at all. So that the only embassies are in North America, in Washington and in Canada. So the honorary consuls are our instruments actually which we are using in order to promote knowledge about Latvia and of course also to promote business and cultural ties. So I guess that Mr. Lorenzo, I think, has a great plan. Mm-hmm. He always has a plan. So I think he's our consul at least 15 plus years. So that I think that he has knowledge of Peru and he has knowledge of Latvia. I think he recently visited Latvia this year. We have an annual honorary consuls meeting. So that I think that he has something on his mind. I mean, as always, I mean, to promote them. As we all know, and I think we have lifted also COVID restrictions here in Peru, so that after this pandemic ends in some ways, actually, so that it will open also possibilities to more exchanges, because, as I said, I mean, to Zoom and WebEx, it's not exactly the same as actually to meet people.
Okay, yes, thank you, Ambassador. So the last question, speaking about 2022 and the future, what do you think about private investment both ways? Could there be any private investment from Latvia to Peru sometime?
As I mentioned, you know, part of security is also investment. Whatever country it goes, so that I would be happy, of course, to welcome Peruvian investment in Latvia. I think that there is maybe a chance also for Latvian or Baltic investors, I mean, to seek possibilities to invest in Peru in particular. So I guess I would probably mention the same digitalization part, where Latvia and neighboring countries, we are very strong. We are small but quite efficient, and maybe that's what we can help. I mean, you and your colleagues here around Peru, so that I mean to bring some knowledge, and maybe that knowledge will come also in this investment. So that's of course for a business community to decide, because what we can do as a diplomats, we can open doors, but then the deal has to be done, of course, among and between business people themselves.
Thank you, Ambassador. Any wishes to Peru? Any message you want to conclude with?
Well, you know, to survive pandemic, and I mean to become stronger and stronger. I mean that's what we all wish, so that it's, you know, that our countries only prosper and have a better life in future.
Thank you, Selga. You were today already participating at the business forum of OAS organization here in Lima. So what are your impressions? What was interesting to you? What would you highlight from today's event?
Well, I would like to notice, of course, the first thing is that there's still business forums as a structure still is still happening, so that they have not died, they have not lost their importance, and I think that was very interesting to be in this business forum to hear. I mean, first of course, that you here in Peru and in member states of Organization of American States actually have exactly the same problems that we are having in Europe or in Latvia. So of course it's a different, let's say, parts of economy. So you have, we had the possibility to hear Minister of Mining. So you have mining. Of course, we don't have mining in Latvia. So, but it's in general. I mean, the things which were discussed. Supply chains. Shortages, investments which are needed in different fields, starting from tourism and ending with the mining. So in Peru in particular, I think that brings us to exactly the same as we are looking also in Latvia. So we can agree that food is important not only in Peru but also in Latvia. Also we have different regions. We are, as I say, small but exclusive country. But it's still, you can always find the similarities, and that was very interesting today. So that you have to forget, let's say, about mining in Latvia, but you can find the similarities in problem issues actually which were discussed today at the business forum. And of course, it's a possibility to meet different and interesting people. I mean, we had, I think, 3 ministers there and deputy ministers, so that it's, and of course, business community from Peru. So that gives the possibility and chance also to meet people. So probably not as a diplomat, I cannot, as I said, conclude agreements, but we can always open doors to both ways. I mean, in Peru and also in Latvia and in Baltics in general.